Ladies and gentlemen, this is Shailesh Borkar from Burhani College, Mumbai. My respects to my seniors and honored judges, and my warm regards to all my friends. My topic for the day is psycho-legal effects of the lockdown due to COVID-19. Since November 2019, we have been affected by an unforeseen and unprecedented calamity in the form of the coronavirus that is not even alive. Millions have been infected and lakhs have succumbed to the disease. In India, more than a lakh of people have been infected and more than 3,000 have perished. But that's only the statistics. Things go beyond that. Things go beyond that psychologically and legally. Let's see how. Let's begin with three shocking incidents. First one, a 29-year-old lady in Worli, Mumbai, committed suicide by hanging herself from a bathroom in Nair Hospital. Why? Because she had contracted the disease and there was a social stigma attached to it. Second case, a 52-year-old gentleman of Banda district in UP committed suicide in Jari village by hanging himself from a tree. Not because he had the disease, but because he could not find laborers to harvest his wheat crop. So his source of income was destroyed. Third case is that of a 30-year-old gentleman, a member of the Tablighi Jamaat. That Tablighi Jamaat, which was in the news recently, he had to commit suicide because even if it would have survived, he would be answerable for so many things. Which means this disease does not have only medical ramifications, it has psychological ramifications, it has legal ramifications, and of course financial ramifications. What started as a curfew for a few days gradually snowballed into a huge lockdown of more than 50 days of not going outside, not meeting people, and whatnot. Result, businesses are decimated, there are huge financial losses and losses of jobs, and people do not know how to go about things. Finally, what we see is that legal effect. There is a doubling of the rate of domestic violence in India. There is a general feeling of depression, and of course, those financial losses are something that people cannot bear. And the worst part is the effect that it has on the student community. What with the cancellation or postponement of so many exams, the students do not know how to go about things and what to do with their future. The future is so bleak. Where in one place they used to plan for a career abroad, now they're scared to even go abroad because those are the very places where people have died in lakhs. What will this all lead to? Gradually it will lead to a spiraling crime rate. And what is to be done? At the moment, the government is very busy with three particular things. One, to control the pandemic, very important, by establishing COVID care centers as many as possible and by providing medical services. Two, by helping migrant laborers, first by providing food and shelter for them, and then by helping them to go to their home villages. And the third one is to help the daily wage earners, those ones who are the worsted. Take the case of Sonu Kumar, who was a rickshaw puller and he used to earn money by ferrying clients. Now he doesn't have clients, no livelihood. How does he support his family? And the case of Anil Kumar, who used to paint buildings in Ghaziabad and make a living. Today he does not have any money. So he took to selling vegetables, but that was barely enough to support his family. And these are a few cases, just a few examples. All in all, we have to ensure that we come together as a society, a human society, and help each other out. We have to ensure that the social media, the Facebook, the WhatsApp, and the Instagram should not be allowed to spread false rumors. They should be used very strategically and very sensibly. And we should also ensure that there is a general awareness of the increase in domestic violence that must be checked instantly. In France and Spain, for example, now this is a prime example, pharmacies have been trained with code words. If a lady comes up to a pharmacy and says mask 19, then the pharmacist understands that she has a domestic problem and he reports it to the police. There has to be this kind of a network which will help us reduce domestic violence. Of course, so many people, so many optimists do see a silver lining in this entire scenario. They say that what with the reduction in the fuel emissions due to the motor vehicles, now that there are no motor vehicles on the roads, there is a control over air pollution. Similarly, with lesser or virtually no industrial effluents being thrown into the rivers, there is a control on the water pollution. But to see this as a rosy picture would be too pan-glossy an attitude, wouldn't it be? So we have to now stick together as a society. That's all I have to say at the moment. I have derived all this knowledge from the Deccan and the Tribune and the IDR, newspapers and weeklies. बिफोर आय एंड थोडे शब्द मराठीत आपल्या महाराष्ट्राबद्दल. आपला महाराष्ट्र म्हटल्याबद्दल कसं एक हृदयस्पर्शी भावना येते. भावार्थ दीपिकेचे हे जन्मस्थान म्हणजेच ज्ञानेश्वरीचे जन्मस्थान आपला महाराष्ट्र. संत ज्ञानेश्वर, नामदेव आणि तुकाराम महाराजांच्या अभंगाने आणि भजनाने ओलीचिंब झालेली ही धरती म्हणजेच आपला महाराष्ट्र. महात्मा ज्योतिबा फुले, सावित्रीबाई फुले आणि महामानव डॉक्टर बाबासाहेब आंबेडकरांच्या ज्ञानप्रकाशाने उजळलेली ही धरती म्हणजेच आपला महाराष्ट्र. स्वदेशीला जन्म देणारा आपला महाराष्ट्र, कारण लोकमान्य बाळ गंगाधर टिळकांनी त्याला जन्म दिला होता, तोच आपला महाराष्ट्र. तो आज त्रासात आहे. आणि बरं का, फक्त सामाजिकरित्या किंवा सांस्कृतिकरित्या महाराष्ट्र योगदान देत नाही, तर औद्योगिक क्षेत्रामध्ये देखील भारताला 30% जास्त योगदान महाराष्ट्र देतो आणि सेवा क्षेत्रामध्ये 55% जास्त योगदान महाराष्ट्र देतो. तर असा आपला महाराष्ट्र आज त्रस्त आहे, कोरोनाग्रस्त आहे. जे 1 लाख लोक मी अगोदर म्हटले होते जे कोरोनाग्रस्त आहेत, त्यापैकी 33,000 तर तब्बल महाराष्ट्रामध्ये आहेत आणि जे 3,000 लोक मृत पावले त्यापैकी 1200हून जास्त आपल्या महाराष्ट्रात आहेत. त्यामुळे आपल्याला संघटित होणं गरजेचं आहे, समजूतदारीने काम घेणं गरजेचं आहे आणि प्रेमभावाने पुढे जाण्याची गरज आहे. आणि याच भावनेने मी आज आपला निरोप घेतो. जय हिंद, जय महाराष्ट्र. आपलाच शैलेश.